Eleanor Hartman had been married to a numbers man for 26 years, so she knew the value of patience and precision. What she hadn't expected was needing to apply those skills to destroy the man she'd spent half her life loving. Richard Hartman was the most successful certified public accountant in their mid-sized Ohio town. His firm handled the books for half the local businesses, and his reputation for meticulous financial management had built them a comfortable life. Their colonial house sat on 2 acres of perfectly maintained property. Their retirement accounts were robust, and their twin daughters had graduated from excellent universities without student loans. Eleanor had never questioned the long hours Richard worked, especially during tax season. She'd built her own life around his schedule, teaching piano lessons from their home studio, volunteering with the church choir, maintaining their social calendar. She trusted Richard completely with their finances, never doubting that his expertise was protecting their future. The discovery came through the most mundane of circumstances. Eleanor's laptop died on a Tuesday morning, right in the middle of preparing music for the church Christmas concert. Richard was already at the office, so she used his home computer to access her email and sheet music files. His financial software was still open on the screen. Eleanor wasn't trying to snoop, but the numbers were impossible to ignore. There was an account she didn't recognize, with regular monthly transfers that didn't match any expense she knew about. The amounts were significant, $3,000 every month for the past 18 months. Eleanor had learned enough about finances during their marriage to know this was serious money. She started digging deeper, using Richard's own meticulous record-keeping against him. The transfers went to an account under the name R&S Holdings, which meant nothing to her until she found the rental agreement. Richard had been paying rent on a downtown apartment, an apartment Eleanor knew nothing about. The apartment led to credit card statements she'd never seen, showing regular charges for expensive dinners, weekend trips, jewelry purchases. The timeline painted a clear picture. Richard had been living a double life for over a year and a half. The jewelry charges led to social media accounts. Richard had never been interested in Facebook or Instagram, claiming they were for younger people. But there he was, in photos with a woman named Stephanie Chen, a real estate agent 20 years younger than Eleanor. The photos showed romantic dinners, weekend getaways, intimate moments that made Eleanor's stomach turn. But Eleanor didn't confront Richard immediately. She was married to an accountant, after all. She understood the importance of thorough documentation before making any major financial decisions. Eleanor spent the next month conducting her own audit. She discovered that Richard had been systematically moving money from their joint accounts into personal accounts that Eleanor couldn't access. He'd opened credit cards in his name only, taken out a loan against their house without her knowledge, and was using business accounts to fund his affair. The more Eleanor investigated, the angrier she became. Richard wasn't just cheating on her, he was stealing from their marriage, compromising their financial security for his relationship with a woman barely older than their daughters. But Eleanor had advantages Richard didn't know about. Her piano teaching had always been cash-based, and she'd been quietly saving that money in an account Richard didn't know existed. More importantly, Eleanor's name was on every business account, every piece of property, every investment. Richard had insisted on it years earlier for tax purposes, never imagining his wife would use that access against him. Eleanor consulted with 3 different lawyers before making her move. She learned exactly what she could legally do and how to do it without breaking any laws. She studied Richard's own business practices, learning from his methods of financial management. Then Eleanor began her campaign. She started small, transferring money from accounts Richard rarely monitored back into accounts she controlled. She used his own techniques of moving money between different accounts to hide transactions. She was careful to stay within legal limits, but she was systematic in protecting assets Richard thought he was hiding. Eleanor discovered that Richard had been planning to leave her. His computer search history showed apartment rentals in Stephanie's neighborhood, divorce lawyers, asset protection strategies. He was building an exit plan, probably intended to present Eleanor with divorce papers, while he'd already secured as much money as possible. But Eleanor got there first. She filed for divorce on a Monday morning after spending the weekend moving significant amounts of money into accounts Richard couldn't access. Her lawyer served papers at Richard's office, in front of his business partners and several clients. The documents included detailed financial records of Richard's affair expenses, copies of his secret accounts, and evidence of him moving marital assets without Eleanor's knowledge. The lawyer had calculated exactly how much Richard had spent on Stephanie and was demanding immediate reimbursement to the marital estate. Richard tried to fight back, but Eleanor had learned from the master. Every move she'd made was legal, documented, and justified. She'd protected assets, not hidden them. She'd secured her own financial future using the same strategies Richard had been employing against her. The divorce proceedings revealed the full extent of Richard's deception. He'd been planning to claim that Eleanor's piano income was insignificant while hiding his own increased earnings. He'd been manipulating business accounts to make the company look less profitable than it actually was. He'd even been planning to claim health problems that would reduce his earning potential. Eleanor's meticulous documentation destroyed every one of his strategies. The business consequences were severe. Richard's reputation in their small town was ruined when clients learned about his financial manipulations. Several businesses moved their accounts to other firms, worried about trusting someone who'd been deceiving his own wife about money. Richard's partners began questioning other business decisions, wondering what else they didn't know about. Stephanie disappeared from Richard's life as soon as the divorce became public. She'd been attracted to successful, wealthy Richard, not scandal-ridden, financially struggling Richard. She moved to another city within a month, leaving Richard alone with the consequences of his choices. Eleanor's piano teaching business thrived as word spread about her situation. The community rallied around her, bringing in new students and recommending her services. She had to hire another teacher to handle all the new requests. The final divorce settlement left Richard with barely enough money to rent a small apartment and maintain basic expenses. Eleanor kept the house, the majority of their investments, and most importantly, her financial security. Richard's own expertise in asset protection had been turned against him by the wife he'd underestimated. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Eleanor received an interesting phone call. Richard's business was failing, and his former partners wanted to offer her a consulting position, helping with client relations and community outreach. They'd realized that Eleanor's reputation in the community was actually more valuable than Richard's financial skills. Eleanor accepted the position, which came with excellent benefits and flexible hours that allowed her to continue teaching piano. She worked in the same building where Richard had planned his betrayal, in an office 3 doors down from where he'd once been the senior partner. Richard moved to another state eventually, starting over with a new accounting practice and a significantly humbled perspective on relationships and honesty. He never remarried, and according to mutual friends, he lived quietly and alone. Eleanor, meanwhile, flourished. She traveled to Europe with her daughters, bought a vacation home in Florida, and started a small foundation that provided music education scholarships for local children. She used Richard's own financial strategies to build wealth he'd never imagined possible. The best part was that Eleanor never had to raise her voice, never had to beg or plead or threaten. She simply applied the lessons her husband had taught her about financial management and used them more effectively than he ever had. Sometimes the student really does surpass the teacher, especially when the teacher never realizes he's being studied. Thank you for listening to Eleanor's remarkable journey from betrayed wife to financial champion. If you enjoyed seeing justice served with such mathematical precision, please subscribe for more stories about clever people who turn the tables on those who underestimate them. I'll return soon with another tale that proves the best revenge is often the most carefully calculated.